Hello everyone. Welcome to Farm Labourer to Hammersmith Poet. My name is Gemma Ward from Family Story Research. This talk is a short introduction to a remarkable man, Alfred Williams here. Alfred was born in 1877. He was born in and spent almost his entire life in the village of South Marsden. South Marsden is known today as the site of the former Swindon Honda Works. But South Marsden is a rural village a few miles northeast of Swindon, Wiltshire. So, in the 1891 census, Alfred is living with his mother and 6 of his siblings. His father abandoned the family some years before. Alfred, aged 14, is working as a farm labourer locally. But the railway works nearby in Swindon offered better wages and prospects. Alfred joined the works in 1892. His job for most of the time at the factory was in the ironworks, in a steam or drop hammer gang. This hammer here is used to forge and shape large pieces of metal. But Alfred wasn't just working at the railway works. In 1900, he embarked on an English literature degree with Ruskin Hall, Oxford. He learned Latin, Greek and French, still while working at the railway factory. To help him learn, he even chalked vocabulary words on his furnace at the factory. He was also a published author. Starting with Songs in Wiltshire in 1909, he published 11 books in his lifetime. 2 were published posthumously. Alfred was also a speaker at the Swindon Mechanics Institute and wrote articles in the local newspaper. He was even a guest speaker at a dinner in London. I would like to talk about just a few of Alfred's books. First, Life in a Railway Factory. This was published in 1916 after Alfred left the works due to ill health. It described every aspect of life in the factory, including workshops, workmen, getting hired, the working environment, holidays. The book was well received by critics. It received a favourable review in the Times Literary Supplement, and it's certainly one of the most important books written about Swindon by a local resident. But the book had been critical of working conditions at the factory, and the Great Western Railway magazine wrote a scathing review, suggesting the book was written by a man whose heart was in the hedgerows, flowers and streamlets. He, according to the review, detested the factory simply because it was a factory. The book sold very poorly in Swindon, perhaps an indication of the fear people had for their jobs if they bought or were associated with the book. 2 more books I wish to highlight are Round About the Upper Thames and Folk Songs of the Upper Thames. To find the region Alfred called the Upper Thames, let's have a look at this map of southern England. You can see the Thames River heading west. This region is broadly the Upper Thames region as defined by Alfred Williams. The towns and villages are not necessarily on the river itself, but Alfred defines it as from Tetbury near Bath through Cirencester towards Lechlade and just south of Oxford. Many of these places are also in the Cotswolds. When Alfred left the railway factory in 1914, he cycled round this area collecting stories which went into his book Round About the Upper Thames. They're an extraordinary record of life and history in these towns and villages. Alfred would be speaking to people with memories of the 19th century. Alfred also published a collection of folk songs sourced from the people he met on his travels. He published these songs in the book Folk Songs of the Upper Thames, and the local newspaper. I've selected one of the folk songs here. It was published in the Wilts and Gloucestershire Standard in 1916. I've selected this one because the introduction is a good example of Alfred's research process, and it also has a clear beat. So, Alfred writes, "A very sweet and superior song. The first line of the chorus is probably incorrect. The song was popular at Aston, near Bampton, Oxfordshire. I've not met with this elsewhere. As practically every song I have obtained by the oral method, there must necessarily be some defects. At the same time, I've been astonished at the accuracy of memory of some of the old men. They are often more trustworthy than the printed sheet." So Alfred has listened to the men singing this song and recorded their words. The song begins. "Hist, the mighty winds do blow. Hist, the morning streams do flow. Hist to every sounding noise. I think I hear my true love's voice. Here's to the rock that breaks the tree. Hark, bark, a voice. Don't you think it is he? No, it is not he, and the night is coming on. Where is my lovely wanderer gone?" And the song continues into the next verses. From 1916, Alfred served as a soldier in the First World War, spending time in India. On returning to South Marsden, he earned a living from writing, market gardening, and a grant from the Royal Literary Fund. Nevertheless, Alfred and his beloved wife Mary were desperately poor and in poor health. Alfred and Mary died within a few weeks of each other in 1930 and were buried in the churchyard at South Marsden. Despite critical acclaim in his lifetime, Alfred is not well known today. Yet he left an extraordinary legacy. His memories and the stories and songs he collected are a rich and fascinating resource. They present a snapshot of local life which may not be available in standard genealogical sources. Alfred Williams' books are still available to buy or are in the public domain today. There are numerous accounts of Alfred's life in books, websites and newspapers. I would, however, like to mention the English Folk House Dance and Song Society, who have a digital archive of the folk songs Alfred collected, along with his notebooks and newspaper clippings. So I hope you've enjoyed learning about Alfred Williams, and I hope you enjoy the other talks in the All About My Place event. Thank you and goodbye.